Welcome back, data nerds, in my Power BI series. This is the second session of the series, and let me give you a quick recap of what we did in the first session because it's been a while since we did the first session. So we understood what is this Power BI tool. Then we also saw the surged demand of Power BI tool in the job market. We also talked about 4 important pillars of Power BI: Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, and Power BI Service. So these were the things we watched in our last session. But even before we jump on loading the data, modeling the data, visualizing the data, I want to take a tour of Power BI's interface with you. If you had watched my Google Sheet series, Google Sheet playlist which I have created, there also, even before I jumped on writing formula, I gave you a quick recap. I gave you a quick interface tour of Google Sheet. So it's just my way to familiarize my students with the interface, and because it prevents you from getting overwhelmed when you actually start working on that. So yeah, we'll do the same here as well. So let's get the tour started. So this is how a blank report of Power BI looks. Currently, I have not loaded any data. I have not established any relationship. I've not done any data modeling, any visualization. I've not done anything. I just wanted to show how blank report looks. Otherwise, we'll take the example, we take the tour of this Power BI. So this is the small dashboard which I created for your reference. So let's start with these options. Most of these buttons you must have seen in the other tools like Excel and all. If you go on file, then we have similar things like save as, share data, get, import, export. Then comes home. Under home button, the first bunch of options that you see here, get data, Excel workbook, this whole section, this section talks about loading the data. If you remember, in my last session, I explained to you that how Power BI helps in loading the data from different sources. And that's what one of the important significance of Power BI. So if you click on get data, you'll see a bunch of sources, data sources from where you can load the data in Power BI. So, and all these options are related to what are these sources from which you can bring data to the Power BI. So this is about getting the data, loading the data, right? So what do you do after loading the data? Then comes transform data, transformation, because you do not get data always cleaned and prepped up. You have to clean it, you have to prep it for further analysis. This is where this button comes into picture. So if you click here, you'll get one option called transform data. I just clicked on it. It will take some few seconds to open a complete new different Power Query editor. It's a different tab. If I just click here, you'll see it's a complete different tab. Okay, so this gives you, so this transform data gives you a complete different tab opened to edit the data. You see, it says that it's a Power Query editor of Power BI. This is one of the most important layer of the Power BI. So here I want you to go through each tabs. Just click on these buttons and explore, hover on these transport, reverse rows, count rows, and you will, a small dialog box will open which will tell you what these buttons actually do. When we load the real data, I'm going to show you the use of each and every button. So no need to worry. This is just for you to see how does it look. What does it do? So right now when you just hover and read, you would not understand everything, but at least you would have the idea of this button's existence. So that's the purpose here. This is the place where all the ETL happens. We transform, we make a lot of changes, we clean the data, we prepare the data for further analysis, and whatever steps we take, you can see these steps stored here. So Power BI stores whatever steps we have taken to clean that data, to prep that data. That way what happens when you come back, when you go back to your report, you don't have to stress that what did you do, how did you get this. You can just go back and check these steps. You click on these steps and that will redirect that what exactly you did. So it's very good. I think it's one of the most powerful thing to have, and where you can see these steps. Okay. Then comes, and when you are done with all the changes, when you're done with all the preparation of the data, you just click on close and apply, and this will close this Power Query editor and bring you back to the main tab of the Power BI, which is the report view. Now we understood these things. Let's understand what's going on here. So you see data here. Whenever you load the data, whatever the tables that you have loaded, you can see those tables here. The columns inside them, you can see it loaded here. If you have calculated any measure, which is called DAX measure in the language of Power BI, that will also be available here. If you have calculated any new column, if you have created any new column, that also you can access from here. Okay. Then comes this part. This, as I already told you, that Power BI gives you around 20 to 21 built-in visuals which you can use to show the data the way you want. So these are the visuals that I was talking about. These are the built-in visuals. But in case if you still want, if you're not satisfied with these visuals, you think that I should use some another visual to show my data in a much better way, then all you have to do is just click on 3 dots and you'll see get more visuals. So Power BI also provides you a marketplace from where you can download visuals as per your requirement. Then comes this part. So this part actually shows that what are the columns that we are using here. So, but that differs from visual to visual. If you are using a bar chart, for that you will have different kind of requirement here. If you are using a pie chart, that will have a different kind of this pane will have different kind of options. So that depends from visual to visual, but just for you to know that this part shows that what are the columns we are using in this visual. Okay. Then comes this part, filters. So you can see filters. For now you can see 2 options, filters on this page and filters on all the pages. It's self-explanatory that if you just want some certain filter to be applied on just this page, then you go with this. And if you want a certain filter to be applied on all the pages that you have here, home, browse, authors, review, you want a filter to be applied on all these pages, then you select this option. There's one more option. If I click any visual, if you'll see, yes, there one more option appears. Okay. So before I clicked on this visual, I was able to see only 2 options, filters on this page, filters on all pages. But now, as soon as I clicked on this visual, I'm able to see a 3rd option, which is filters on this visual. So sometimes what happens, there are particular condition that you just want to put on that visual. In that condition, these kinds of filters become very useful. You know, as you can see, I have already used something. There's one interesting thing I forgot to tell you. If you'll see, we have 4 different symbols on the rightmost side of the Power BI. What happens if you click on each symbol? There's a panel which opens. See, this panel, when I hover on this symbol, it says data. What happens if I click on the symbol? A panel opens. Do you remember what this panel was about? This is data panel, which actually stores all the loaded data. I already told you about this, right? Then comes second, which is build. Okay, let's open it. This shows the visuals, whatever inbuilt visual Power BI gives us, and the get more visuals that you get under build. Then we have 3rd option, which is format. Let's click on that and let's see what is that. This format panel gives you all the required, like if you want to change the way your visual looks like, if you want to change the height of the visual, the width of the visual, the padding of the visual, the color, the background, or these kinds of change, the aesthetic changes that you want to do, you can do from this format button. These symbols are nothing but related to them, and as you keep clicking, if I click on data, the data panel will collapse. The same thing happens with build and same thing happens with format. Well, we understood the rightmost part of the Power BI. Let's understand what's going on in the left part. Okay, so if I hover, it says report view. So this is the part where you can see your report, where you can see what have you created as visualization, which is now currently you seeing. So currently my Power BI is in the report view. That's why you are able to see the visualization. Okay, let's see what happens if I click on table view. This is the part where whatever data you have loaded, you can see in the tabular format. So if I click on this, if I click on good read reviews, you can just get all the tables, that all the columns and rows you can see here. If I click on other table, you can see the details about that table. Same goes with other tables. So this is the place where you can, if you want to perform any calculation about columns, and if you want to come here and check that how that column is looking, if you want to compare, this is the place where you come. That's why it's called table view. Then comes model view. So this is the place where you establish relationship. You have a fact table, you have a lot of dimension tables, and you want to join them, you want to establish relationships between them for further analysis. This is the place where you do it. Let me just collapse all these, you can see I have established few relationships. But this was a very small set of data, so I did not have very complicated cardinalities to do. But it's possible that as you move ahead with your Power BI journey, you'll get a lot of tables, and those tables need to be joined. So we'll understand how data modeling is done, everything in detail. For now, you understand that this is the model view where we actually see how the modeling of data happens. I would not talk about TMDL view right now because you are at the very beginning stage of the Power BI journey, so I do not want you to confuse. Okay, so this we saw. But now comes that when to use what and what is the workflow. What happens first, what happens next, and what happens last. Let's understand the Power BI workflow. So first thing first, you load the data. You have a data in your database. You want to load the data. For that, you use these things. Get data. You might load the data from multiple sources. So then you use this part. So this will be the part 1 of loading the data. Then comes part 2, transforming the data. Cleaning, prepping, everything comes under that. Then you use this option, transform the data. So we just saw how does this work and how does it look when we open that transform data. A Power Query editor opens where you can do all kinds of transformation. So this will be part 2. When you come after transformation, you can go to the table view and you can see that whatever transformation you have made, how is it looking in a tabular format. Okay. Once you have cleaned the data, you have prepped the data, you go to model view. Why? Here you are going to establish the relationship. You are going to correct the relationship. If there's anything which is not required, you're going to change it. So here the relationships are being established among tables, among fact tables and dimension tables. So we saw the table view and then we came to model view. Then you come to report view, and at the end you start creating visualization. Creating graphs and charts and visual is just the 20 to 30% of the Power BI. So the main game which happens is in transform data and in modeling. These two are very complicated yet very important. We'll start with a very small set of data set, and as we move forward, I'll show you how the bigger data sets are handled. Now the report is created. Then comes the important part, which is collaboration. You want to share that report with the right stakeholders, right? Then comes this publish part. You see this publish? You publish your report and then you share it with the right stakeholders. So once the publish is done, then comes the refresh part. You do not want the visuals to show the back data and which is not live, which is not current. You want your data available in the data model and table view to get updated frequently as your data in the backend is getting updated. You want that synchronization to happen, right? You do not want your dashboard to show some back data which is not even relevant. So for that thing, you would refresh your data model, and this option also provides you something called scheduled refresh. With the help of that, you can just schedule your refresh at any certain time of the day. At that time, your data will automatically get refreshed. So this was it. We saw how Power BI looks and what are the layers which I told you that day without showing it. Today I actually showed you how does it look, what are the workflows. So just open the Power BI tool, explore on your own, try to hover on each options, read what are they telling, because reading is also very important when you do. Speaking of reading, I want to show you something. These are 3 links which I have opened, which you can also refer in your Power BI journey. These are authentic and directly coming from Microsoft, so the information provided here is accurate and correct. So I want you to have a habit to give it a read. So as you scroll down, you can see multiple blogs being posted. This was posted on September 23, 2025. This was DAX, UDFs, deep dive into editing semantic models in Power BI service. So when you keep reading these kinds of articles, you might not get everything at once, but you'll have things in your brain, and when you actually start doing it hands-on, you can connect the dots. So this was one website which I will suggest you to give it a read. And this is the second website which I will suggest you. Again, it's directly coming from Microsoft. So they talk about what is Power BI, get Power BI desktop, how to download Power BI desktop, and they tell everything, basics of Power BI service. If you click on these drop down, you can see transform, shape and model documentation, data refresh, on-premises gateways, DAX basics. So these readings will surely going to help you. Then comes the third. This is also same kind of blog where you get to know, directly coming from Microsoft by the way, where you get to know about Dynamics 365. So these are 3 important links which I think you can refer, and you can increase your knowledge if you have the habit of reading. Go through their articles. They are very good and very informative. So hope this tour was helpful. Right now, I have not told you a lot of functionalities on Power BI. I did not explain you because I knew you will not understand. I have just given you a very large overview. And I also told you about the workflow. How does it work? Which comes first and which comes next? So, and the 3 websites which I told you, do give them a read. Have a habit of reading those articles coming from Microsoft. They are really helpful. They also tell you about the updates, what's going on, what's new in Power BI. That actually keeps you absolutely on radar. And so yeah, I will just suggest you to go through those websites and download Power BI and explore on your own. So from next video, we are actually going to load the data and we are going to jump on doing all the measures, all the calculations which I just showed you right now. From next session, we are going to do it live.